Welcome back to a special episode of the Zero Check Podcast, a chat with Kerenshara, who is one of the co-authors of this wonderful patch for the Kingmaker Kingdom Management rule set, commonly called the V&K patch. The V&K patch, did I get that right?
Yeah, I've heard it referred to a lot of ways. That one's we internally refer to it as the V&K remaster.
The V&K remaster,
because we did it in two steps. The first step was obviously what's come to be known as the hot patch. The idea was to come up with something quick and dirty that would make the system playable. And then after that, we sat down and said, okay, we've had a chance to work with this. We played out a whole bunch of scenarios, and we took what we learned and said, okay, this is what we really wish it had done. And so we rolled into the next phase of development and wound up with the final product that we've got. Well, next to final product we have now.
That's incredible. I think that is so interesting. Oh, and by the way, Chris is here. What's up, Chris?
Hey, what's happening?
What are you doing? Are you good? Are you good over there? Are you happy? Are you having a good time?
I'm fine. I'm excited to speak with Kerenshara because I've been running the rules and I've done my best, but I think I made some mistakes, and we may talk. We may talk about that with the guy himself. So yeah,
we got the guy. He's here with us, and we're happy and honored for you to take a Tuesday night and hang out with us, Karen. I was thrilled that you just sort of kind of got right into it, because one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, and what has impressed me about you and getting to know you, is that you embarked on this, quote unquote, remaster of these rules. And there's a lot of criticism on the Kingmaker rules. For those of you, the pies that might be listening to this, no shade. I couldn't write a kingdom rule management rule set. But there has been some criticism, and there's been sort of this, I don't know if it's a rumor, if it's ever been confirmed, that there was sort of a lack of play testing of the kingdom management rules.
Absolutely zero. We had confirmation that it came out without any actual formal play test at all.
Wow.
That's marvelous.
But in your view, what are the deficiencies with the kingdom management rules as written?
They're boring.
dude.
No, that's not particularly fair. It's probably more accurate to turn the question around and to say what I like about the rules as written.
Okay.
I felt when I first encountered the day that the book dropped, I downloaded and printed it out and started reading it. I was impressed by the fact that someone had thought of the idea of turning the kingdom into a character.
Yeah.
That's really what it boiled down to for me. And the entire notion of how they did it, incorporating the second edition mathematical progression for difficulty classes and the entire concept behind which Pathfinder 2e actually functions, rolling that into the character kingdom, I felt was a tremendously awesome idea. The problem is I felt that they didn't think it all the way through, because essentially a player character has ancestry, background, and class, which is basically analogous to Heartland and
like the government
and charter. So what they do have that the kingdom doesn't have is separate proficiency for attack, separate proficiency for defense, separate proficiency for perception, in addition to all the skills.
Yeah.
And the kingdom doesn't have that. Everything the kingdom does has to be done with skills. The flash of inspiration I had at one point when Vance and I were working on it was, I said, it's a rogue. We need to treat the kingdom like a rogue in every way, because it lives and dies by its skills.
Interesting.
And that was how we got the original hot patch done, was looking at it as if it was a rogue. And one of the things that we did, that I sat down and worked out, and then I gave it back to Vance, and Vance was like, okay, that works. And we went back and forth on how we wanted to do it. The progression of skills and attributes was something that we looked at very carefully, because a character gains all their attributes at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
And they've got 6 attributes to break things out among. The kingdom only has 4 attributes, but as it progresses, it doesn't get the same percentage of its abilities to increase as it goes up. So you get 4 of your 6 abilities go up versus 3 of your 4 kingdom attributes. So we were looking at ways to balance that out.
Did that cause you to? Is that when you decided to start breaking the skills out amongst, retying those skills to character skill? That
was something that happened well after we did the hot patch. We were trying for a long time to decide how to get the characters involved in the government, because the way the basic rules are written, anybody could do anything and has no effect on, you're the ruler. Well, that's great. What does that mean? It means nothing.
Right. All that matters is what NPCs can you auto invest into one of the roles. And then I guess the player characters just disseminate themselves across the balance of the roles,
Correct.
And I thought that was interesting too, or uninteresting rather.
Yeah, very uninteresting. And it made it feel very detached. So the entire idea was to get the characters involved without putting too high of a tax on them. They still have to go out and be adventurers. They still have to have all of their abilities, but they do need to put something into the kingdom. They have to put some amount of work into it. And so part of the back and forth that we had, I'm not even sure who came up with the idea originally anymore, but it was, why don't we just use the proficiency level of the characters rather than their modifiers?
Yeah. Well, Vance isn't here, so you should take credit.
There are times I'll take credit, and there are times where I'll definitely throw it back to Vance.
Perfect.
Between the two of us, I tend to conceptualize and mold, and Vance is very much the crunchy bits specialist.
Got it.
Yeah, BITZ with a trademark. He really takes care of that side of it. And then I go back and I said, okay, I'm not sure it's quite what we meant. And so going by the old joke, what are you, rules as intended or rules as written?
Yeah.
I'm very much the rules as intended side, and Vance is very much the rules as written side.
Yeah, whereas I'm the rules are, I hope I got it right. Now, one thought that I've had, a deep thought, we'll call it, about the kingdom stuff is, did you see an analogy between the kingdom rules as written and the Starfinder First Edition Starship Combat? Because they're both kind of a shared character sheet. And in both cases, I found that players just sort of sit there, and when I was running Starfinder 1 in person a lot, boy, that's when everybody would be getting on their phones and just like scrolling, is during Starship Combat. Do you see any parallels there?
I have to confess to never getting further in Starfinder than reading the opening chapters and kind of seeing some of the mechanics that were at work. And I was still playing Pathfinder First Edition at the time.
Got it.
And it just didn't grab me on any level.
Well, I think it's interesting then that you embarked on this without that context of the Starship Combat. I wonder how that affected your perception of all of this. I mean, we came at it, Vance and I both came at it from a very PF2E character centric view. Yeah.
Vance is very heavily involved with organized play. I've not had the opportunity to really do so. We came at it from the perspective of trying to think of it as a character rather than as a system. And everything kind of fell out of that attempt.
Got it.
And so kind of hearing that and how you, I guess, attacked this problem that you saw of kind of making the kingdom a character in and of itself. You mentioned with the hot patch, the progression of those core abilities didn't increase at the same rate. And so like I was kind of digging around and trying to look at the major differences. And I think one of those is just the increase in those core abilities, like picking an extra one to boost at the start, picking an extra one when you get to, I think it's level 5 and you get to increase them, you get to pick one more.
Right.
Was that kind of how you balance that, or were there some other things that you guys put in place?
Yeah, actually, it's a joke. I do my grocery listings in Excel. So
my kind of guy.
Yeah. So I actually sat down and I said, okay, at what levels, at each of the progression levels, what percentage of the attributes have gotten boosts if for a character, and what amounts have the kingdom gotten in their 4 attributes. And I put the two side by side and I went, oh, wow, that's not even close. And so the first solution was to go back and put the 1 additional per level. And then to finish balancing it out an extra, we put 1 more at the beginning.
Can I ask a silly question?
Yeah.
What's the gameplay goal behind doing that? Are we looking for wider swings on checks? Are we looking for a kingdom that is stronger in some ways and weaker in others than as written in the original rules? Or what's the point?
The entire point is to make the kingdom character able to stand alone, because a player character can't. A player character can't do everything. A kingdom has to.
So I got it. So it's
in
like
a player among a group of 4 player characters, you can generally assume that somebody will have survival trained and somebody will have religion trained. The kingdom doesn't have that luxury. That was the other reason we put in untrained improvisation, was to pick up any slack where the kingdom didn't have the skills.
Makes sense.
Because otherwise it becomes mathematically impossible to even play at higher levels without having every skill trained.
Right. Well,
so
yeah, because I haven't mathed it out like you guys have, but just looking at the way your the kingdom's DC, keeps going up based on its size and its level, it's like I could see that outpacing, the kingdom even be able to succeed at a lot of stuff.
That was a large part of we ran, I can't tell you how many times we ran simulations at lower levels, just trying to get the startup progression right. The rate at which we added extra experience in terms of milestones, or increasing the ratio of retained XP from leftover RP. We worked with that a lot.
Well, it seems like you did the play testing yourselves that didn't occur.
We did a lot. Vance even more than me. We ran it over and over and over again until we found something that we felt was right. The core book says take a year off and level to level 4.
Yeah,
that's what the AP assumes.
Yep.
And we figured out that it would take somewhere in the vicinity of 40 turns in order to get, using the straight vanilla rules, take in the vicinity of 40 turns if you were lucky to get to level 4.
Wow. That wasn't exact, but my first take when reading the original rules, I was like, it's going to take so many turns to level up. Like, it's going to take so many.
We played a grand total of 1 sim at the very beginning up to like level 3, and I don't even think we made it that far. And we finally just threw in the towel and said, no, this isn't going to work.
Now, how did you simulate? Are you guys techie in that you can kind of build something out that does that? Or were you doing a lot of like what Chris did behind the scenes, which is that just kind of document your own turns piece by piece to examine the progression of the kingdom?
Yes to both. Vance is a little bit better with the graphic side of it. So he brought in the map and kept it updated, and would occasionally send me basically a screen grab of where the map stood. And we would basically say, okay, from the hex that's there, we're going to go down to the left one, because we didn't have hex numbers or anything like that. So we just kind of, went as best we could.
Mm.
And at the time when we first started, I wasn't GMing it yet. I was still only playing it. And so I didn't want spoilers.
Oh,
so
sure.
that made for a much more interesting experience on my part, because Vance had to go, well, you're probably going to run into an extra bunch of XP here, and we probably ought to put a settlement here.
No reason.
And I'm like, okay, I got it. I sort of went along with it.
Yeah. Now, did you guys end up with a tower out in the forest like we did? We took the Forgotten Keep and they plopped a town there. I was like, okay, all right, we'll put it away out there, guys.
The Forgotten Keep is actually not a bad place to be, because you get the castle.
Hey, vindication.
The flip side is that it is kind of remote to your probable starting location, which is down on the Tuskwater.
Yeah.
If you're starting at the default, assumed location, it's a little far away. As you progress in levels and stuff, it's not as big a deal. But until you've got roads built, you're going through a lot of forest, and that makes travel times prohibitive.
Can I ask you this? Is there I've made comments to these guys before. I played a lot of Stellaris at one point. And by the way, I'll just say this. When I play Stellaris, I play on the easiest difficulty level because I'm not a particularly gifted strategic thinker, and I procrastinate, but that's beside the point. In Stellaris, you can build wide or you can build tall, and there are mechanics that kick in or swing one direction or the other that reward you for having a small footprint versus having a large footprint, and it changes the way that gameplay progresses in Stellaris. Is there something like that at work in the kingdom management? My suspicion is probably no. But I'm curious, with your depth of knowledge, what your opinion is on that.
The way the system is written, there isn't a lot of incentive, originally vanilla, okay? There isn't a lot of incentive to build additional settlements. There really isn't, because the kingdom is what determined everything. Rather, the capital is what determined everything. Like the kingdom
level and stuff, you mean?
Well, it was kingdom level, and it was the item bonuses, and the capital applied to other settlements, and it just, there wasn't really much point in putting a lot of effort into the other settlements. Like, why would you build a second town hall anywhere?
Right.
You wouldn't. And so the incentive, especially when you got size into consideration, a lot of people at the beginning, when we first started this, like literally the week that it dropped, there were a lot of people initially putting a lot of thoughts out. And the one consistent question people had was, well, why don't you just build one city and stay at 20 something hexes just within the influence of the capital and just build tall? There are reasons not to. In our experience, there are reasons to expand further out. But in the base rules, there really is not a lot of incentive to do that.
Was there an adjustment that you then made to kind of address that? Or
there are a couple of adjustments that we made in the remaster. The first one was having settlements produce their own resource dice.
Oh, Chris is nodding. Okay,
yeah,
Chris,
I'm
you knew that.
I
didn't know that. I was like, okay, good. Chris knows.
Yeah, and once they bump up a size level and get that town hall, oh yeah.
Yeah, the extra resource dice really do pay off pretty quickly. If you've built a settlement, it's really in your best interest to build a town hall as soon as you can, because that gives a degree of autonomy to the settlement that allows it to start building on its own without having to have input from the actions of the actual leaders. The leaders can still, put in additional actions, but they're not as constrained by requiring, someone to spend a full action in order to build something.
Almost like, a minion or, on the board during an encounter that kind of gets an action all on its own without having to be commanded. Is there like a mechanic like that?
Yes, actually, that's not a bad way to describe it. That's actually not bad at all.
You hear that,
I'd have to pull up the actual sheet, because I contrary to what may seem like a lot of people assume, I don't have it all memorized.
Hey, you're in fine company. You're in fine company.
We spent a lot of time arguing. We spent a lot of time arguing over the actual contents of the tables. And I remember what the thought process was that went into them. But with regards to remembering what the exact contents of them are, I still go back and check. But the fact is that we wanted cities to produce resources on their own, even if they didn't have a civic structure. Because I mean, if you get to the size of a city, by the way the rules define it, you've got enough commerce going on, you've got enough people putting resources in that some amount of that has got to leak into the greater kingdom. And then having a civic building further enhances that extraction of resources to the greater kingdom. So that's why we sort of fed the monster from both sides. We made it so that you wanted to have the extra resource dice, and we made it so that the extra buildings then made it easier to build that particular settlement.
I feel like maybe you and I talked about this, and I have a memory of it, but I'm not gonna shoot from the hip. You seem to have a knack for game design. Do you have previous experience doing things like this, or does Vance?
I have been tinkering with game design around the edges since high school. Nice. I've never sat down and actually tried to do a single project like this all the way through to completion, but I started playing around with modifying the rules to BattleTech, believe it or not, ages ago.
Oh, BattleTech, yeah.
So that's how far back that goes. You know, taking technology that was arriving in the real world from DARPA and trying to extrapolate that into that universe and how it might work. And
so kind of with that background and Mike's question about Stellaris, in both your hot patch and remaster, did you take any inspiration from like other games you may have played or tabletop RPGs or their systems? Or was most of the stuff you and Vance came up with like not totally unique, but more really from your own brainstorming and work or from the community?
It would be inaccurate to say that there wasn't some level of influence from combined experience with other games. Vance plays board games very, very intensively. So there's a certain amount of that pollination. And I've played a number of Sims over the years in my time. I brought some of that insight into it from my side. But with regards to the input of the community that you asked about, there was a tremendous amount of input within the first 2 weeks. I mean, Everybody was on the Rules Lawyer server. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody had something that they wanted to see changed. And I had some ideas that really turned out would have been really miserable if we had followed up on them. But we had a group of people, and the group kept shrinking until inevitably it just wound up being, for a long time, me and Vance.
Interesting. So that I was wondering, and I think you mentioned this. So you and Vance met in the realm of the Rule Lord. Is that
the Rules Lawyer?
The Rules Lawyer.
Not the Rules Lawyer.
Oh, no, not the Rule Lord.
Not
that's
the
a
Rule
different
Lord.
guy. No, I know. Yeah, sorry. I know the Rule Lord. I don't know the Rules Lawyer. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So you guys are hanging out. Okay. Interesting. So it kind of was born out of this flurry of feedback and,
it was a Discord channel is what it was.
Oh, okay.
And we wound up setting up a corner of Vance's existing server on Discord where we documented everything we did. And, if I do my grocery list in Excel, I don't want to think about what Vance must do for everything, because every single thing we did is archived in that Discord server.
Wow.
In this was a problem we ran across. Here's what we discussed. Here's what we did with it. We archived it as complete and we moved on. So, I mean, I was going through just the other day and looking at it going, God, that's a lot. And a lot of stuff did get discarded. I mean, I'm not going to say that we were on the right track from the beginning.
Well, sure. I mean, I think a good a good patch or a good product or whatever, is you need to probably leave a lot on the cutting room floor. I'm curious whether has Paizo reached out to you at all to discuss this, or I don't know what I'm picturing, an attaboy or a, hey, we like this work, or has there been any communication at all from the mothership on this?
Good question, Mike. That's on my list. I can mark that one off. There we go.
Right. The truth of the matter is, early on, we had some communication with James Jacob.
He's the main guy, right?
He's the main guy of the AP.
Can I interrupt you? I was at Gen Con and I saw him. And Chris, do you think I talked to him?
Nope, probably not.
Nope, did not talk to him.
You're probably like, that's him.
Yes,
and
him.
You just kind of went back to your own table.
Nice ponytail, I said to myself, and then that was it. Sorry, Kerenshara, please continue.
We had some contact early on, and they verified that there had been no play tests, which freed us up to basically say, okay, let's start from scratch. Let's find out where the holes are. And the holes appeared right away.
Cavernous.
That's interesting. So like with that contact, so would you say you kind of had his blessing to go this route, or is this something you just picked up?
Let me think about that for a second. How do I want to phrase this? Paizo, through James Jacobs, gave us a very one-removed acceptance of what we were planning to do. They weren't going to put any further resources back into the Kingmaker AP in any form.
Got it.
But there was, in the early phases, there was kind of a, we know what you're doing, and we're not gonna tell you no.
Interesting.
Yeah, because that kind of leads into like, would Paizo have plans to make their own remaster Kingdom Rules? But it kind of sounds like no. There was no space in their schedule to go back. There was no resources to apply to it.
Yeah.
So that's why we put as much into it as we did.
I think Paizo should hire you. I'm just going to say something controversial. I'm just going to start lobbing bombs. Paizo should bring you on and should pay you to design second edition's Starfinder ship combat too. I think that would be very nice, because I say that because we've been very happy with the patch. It has improved our games. We were concerned from the very beginning that the Kingdom Rules as written were not interesting. We have experienced already a very marked improvement, at least in our experience around the virtual table doing it. And as I alluded to, we're very honored that you hopped onto our feed and listened to us apply your patch to our Kingdom of Shrikehaven. And here comes the part of the podcast where we ask you, how bad did we fuck it? Did we fuck it bad? Was it not as bad? Was it okay? What did you think? And
we can take it. We can handle it.
We can take it. But also I'm trying to put myself into your shoes. You've put so much into this, and now here comes the five of us kind of just, going for it. I don't know.
I can imagine Karen just listening and be like, what?
Yeah. When I listened to you guys set up the Kingdom way back when you weren't even using the hot patch, I was like, you're just vanilla. Knowing what I already knew about early Kingdom development and which skills really were important, and you're like, yeah, we don't need that. I'm going to need that. Hold the phone.
We don't need folklore.
You probably want to take that.
Culture, wow.
Yeah, magic culture, yeah. You wouldn't expect that would be a really important part of a rural kingdom.
Yeah, that was probably one of the first things you noticed was when we were building the kingdom. Some of our more interesting, I won't say poor because I like our choices. I think they're fun, but some of the more interesting choices that we made. And anything else while you're listening, maybe on a kingdom turn that really jumped out? Maybe some glaring rules misses or misapplications of things.
Have you perhaps reached out to us in writing already with some of these issues? We'd love to.
Just so that we can bring the listeners in on this.
I did reach out about a couple of the things. And I made a list as I was listening. Nice. I actually very Excel, quickly pulled up a document and started typing. The most important thing that is in red on my sheet in large font bolded is that for doing any action that is not a specialization of your role, you must pay an additional action tax in order to do it.
Oh no!
So that's something that gets missed, I think, sometimes.
Is that in rules?
And it sounded like it got missed here.
Is that in rules? This is written. You added that.
No, this is in the 3 action economy that we established.
Got it.
So basically, if you're a ruler and you are taking a statecraft action, because it's a specialization of the ruler, you only have to pay 1 action for it. But if the ruler suddenly wants to do magic or wants to do agriculture, they're going to have to pay 2 actions in order to do that. So the idea was anybody can do anything, but they're going to have to work a little harder to get it done. And at the same time, you only get half your leadership bonus when you make those reaches.
Got it. So when Sirio sends Dry Colme out on a horse to go fishing, that's not an efficient use of Dry's time because he's not. Correct. That's not what he does.
He's the general. Yeah, he's not the.
He's the general.
Actually, boating is under the general, so that is an efficient use of time.
Okay, let's get Dry on a boat. Let's make it Dry on a boat.
So that kind of leads into another piece that people might not be super familiar with, like the nitty gritty, the nuts and the bolts of it. Which is something that I've missed. At Kingdom Creation, each of the PC rulers gets to pick an additional specialization. Is that right?
That's right. So everybody gets to customize their role, which allows you to fill in any gaps that you have in terms of having if you have a party of only 4, which is, the intended number. If you have, like you guys do, I noticed when I was doing your cheat sheets the other night.
Thank you for that, by the way. Well, thank you.
I'll finish those up for you here in the next couple of days. But when I was doing the cheat sheets, I realized that the only people you have that do magic as specializations are your emissary and your magister.
Oops. Yeah.
And both of those are NPCs, which means they only have 2 actions per turn instead of 3.
That's how we do it.
Which means your ability to do magic is really constrained.
So yeah, Mike, that's something to put on our agenda. Each one of us, we get to pick an additional specialization.
I'll remember that for sure. I'll remember that.
The other limitation is with diverse leadership and expansive leadership, that you have to have a minimum leadership modifier to gain benefit from the feat. Huh. So if your leadership modifier is only a +1, you don't gain the benefit from diverse leadership until you bring it up to a +2.
And Mike, that's our feat that we picked at level 6. And we were kind of using that rule to do some folklore stuff. That we weren't trained in folklore, but for the PCs to be able to do that, they got to be specialized in it.
Got it.
Well, cool. Actually, we need to. Kerenshara, you can probably explain a little better than I can. You were talking to me about additional lore feats that the players, the characters themselves actually need to put in some investment in their character sheets to help out.
We spent a lot of time doing those charts that are in the original remaster. I did all the charts in Excel, and we moved stuff around a lot, trying to balance out all the skills, all 16 of the base skills from the game, to make sure that everybody had at least a chance, if you put them into a relatively round hole, that they wouldn't have to stretch too hard to at least get to that first step. If you put a rogue into the emissary position, it's a natural fit. Almost any of the primary rogue skills are going to meet the requirements. But if you wind up putting, a fighter into that slot, they may have a little harder time meeting the requirements. So one of the things we decided to do was allow a additional lore to act as one of the two skills you could use to meet that prerequisite, because additional lore levels up automatically as you go up in level.
Okay, yeah.
Which is something I learned because I've never looked at additional lore. I was just like, oh, lore is garbage. We never use it to earn income. Why mess with that? But no, when you hit level 3 and 5 and was it 5 and 7? I don't know what the progression is, but it
3,
goes
7,
up.
and 15.
Yeah, so you're like, you auto get expert, you auto get master at those thresholds rather than having to spend more skill feats on.
Yeah,
that's why we were like, okay, so we were trying to strike a happy balance between getting skin in the game and really penalizing the characters in their primary role as adventurers.
Yeah, I like that.
At my personal table, I had a player who got dumped into the Viceroy position who's playing Amagus, and they felt a little stretched trying to cover their role. I mean, eventually we got it worked out, but initially there was some unhappiness with the requirements to get the leadership bonus. But as long as you're willing to make a little bit of adjustment, I mean, a lot of people, when I see online people post character ideas and stuff, after a certain point, skill feats sort of seem to become whatevers. I'll take that when I get there based on whatever I need.
Yeah,
it's not part of the core build for a lot of people.
No, so Donnie has proved that by taking multilingual every level, apparently. I couldn't believe that. I opened up a sheet. I was like, what? Okay. But anyway, I'm sorry.
So really, it's minimal. It's some investment, but it's not like, oh man, I'm having to use all my fun character choices for this kingdom. It's one skill feat, really.
Yeah, it's an elegant balance. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because it occurred to me to ask you. How did your changes and your patch, your remaster, how did that make it into the Foundry module that we're using? Because there are toggles in there for V and K. And I remember telling Chris, boy, do you think that's the same thing that Chris, like, yes, yep, man, that's it. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's just small.
Honestly, part of it was me making a blind request into the ether of Reddit to say, hey, originally it was Tom Eric's kingdom management spreadsheet on Google Docs that was allowing people to even make a go of trying to play the game. That initial investment in making a working city grid and getting things automated really made the base rules even playable. When the first couple of modules came out for Foundry, I went in there and I went to the settings and I saw the toggle that said enable VNK, and I was
like, oh,
I was floored.
That's so cool.
I was really floored. We sort of had feedback that a lot of people liked what we had done, but it never occurred to me that someone would go ahead and code that into the system.
Yeah.
When time came to release the remaster, I said, if somebody wants to do the coding, I took AP computer science in high school, but I don't have the skills to do that.
Yeah.
And the author of the original module had said originally, I'm not going to make any more changes. But soon enough, within a couple of weeks, the changes were incorporated.
Well, and as you related that to us just now, it got me remembering that Pathfinder 2, Pathfinder Paizo are extremely special companies, in my opinion. And there are heroes in the community that emerge and do these things, maintain these mods, or in your case, create this remaster that adds a whole new level of viability to the kingdom management stuff. I think on behalf of the community, I want to say thank you to you for the time and efforts that you've put in, and on behalf of the game that I'm running, you're helping us do this. Let's add in some kind of like slow clap crowd noise right now or something for you and Vance. But in all seriousness, what you've done is incredible. And we're extremely thankful. And by the way, you alluded to this, but after listening to us play, you're offering to help us out with some cheat sheets that are coded to each individual character that we have, which again, I'm floored by your generosity of time and also for you to come in and talk to us today. So thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. The greatest compliment that I've gotten so far on the remaster came from somebody on Reddit who came to me and did a DM. It just arrived. Said they wanted to thank me for saving their game.
Wow,
because everybody really wanted to play Kingmaker, and they refused to play Kingdom in the background because then it's not Kingmaker.
Yeah. That's what makes it Kingmaker is the management.
That's what makes it Kingmaker is having the agency over your kingdom.
Yeah.
And having it in the background it cheapens the experience in a way. And so they told me that people had dreaded Kingdom turns. Nobody was interested. And then after the remaster came out, they jumped on it, and suddenly everybody was involved. Everybody was interested in what their role was. It saved their game, is what I was told.
That's great.
And that was a huge compliment to me, and it made the entire project seem worthwhile. Even if it was just one table really got value out of what we did, it made it really worth it to me.
That's well, yeah. And I mean, you're doing it for the love of the game, for the love of this module, which is Kingmaker itself is in my opinion, a very special module. It is one that stood the test of time as a first edition. When they announced that they were going to remaster it for second edition, I remember I reached out immediately to these guys that I do this podcast with now, and I was like, that's the one that I want to record with you guys, and so of course then it got delayed and we had to wait. But yeah, I'm so glad that you embarked on this. You before we went on the air, you mentioned to us that you wanted to give some new information about something.
I do. I wanted to make an announcement.
Okay.
This is the first time we're revealing. This is the first time we're revealing this publicly.
Chris, hold on to your butt.
Okay. Yep. I'm like, I don't have the cigarette hanging out of my mouth, like the guy in Jurassic Park holding on to his butt, but I'll do my best.
Okay, we're both holding our butts.
An integrated single file rules document is coming out really soon.
Oh, man. Yes.
I want to give a massive shout out to Crow Kid, who joined our project in the last few weeks for all the work they've done on the project.
Shout out to
Crow Kid. They actually
Kid.
cut our revised remastered rules into the original text and highlighted our changes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's that scribe.pf2.tools page that you sent me, right?
One of the things they took the opportunity to do was to rearrange the structures so they're by level now.
Yep, instead of alphabetically.
As opposed to purely alphabetically, it makes once you've got where to look vaguely for a structure, and then you have a lot less alphabetical flipping to do. That was a really great thing. But this new project actually has some errata we've made. There's a couple of small tweaks we made. And there are 4 new infrastructure structures and an upgrade for each one of them that are going to be included in this.
That's awesome.
Basically, they are to address. We had too much of a good thing when we introduced the automatic ruin and reduced the threshold to 5.
Yeah.
That's great on White Room, but when you put it into the actual module, with like chapter 5? I think it's chapter 5. I'm not going to say that on text on voice. But when you get to that one chapter where everything starts becoming about the kingdom,
yes,
having all those potentials for critical failures can add up really fast, especially since they're happening multiple times per turn potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with a way to help mitigate that a little bit. if you're willing to put the resources into building the infrastructure. There is an upgrade available to take it to the next level if you continue to go. It still means that it's something you have to worry about, but it does make it a little easier to mitigate over time.
Well, and what a great opportunity to kind of react to player feedback, I suspect, and then create another expansion to address that problem. For people listening to this, where can they find your remaster? Where will they be able to find this new document? Can you just take us through your info so that people can find your stuff?
Sadly, the best thing you can do is do a search on Google for Vance and Kerenshara Kingmaker, and you'll find one of the two places where we posted the links. They're Google Docs originally.
Okay.
So they're big, huge, long, alphanumeric strings.
Yep. And ChatGPT found you, so you could use it in there, and it'll pull up the doc too.
Even better. But I'm told that this new integrated document's eventually going to be turned into a PDF.
Wonderful. Okay.
So that will be something that once we figure out how to do that, we'll have to figure out how to disseminate it.
Perfect. Well, and when you get that link, we'll throw that into the description, at least of this episode, so that down the line, if someone picks us up and listens to it, they can find that info there. We'll add that in after the fact. Thank you for your time this evening. It was a pleasure talking to you. It's been a pleasure visiting with you over Discord about all of this stuff. We are very happy with your efforts. Please our best to Vance as well when you talk to him. And what was the other guy's name?
Crow Kid.
Okay.
So that's going to be forthcoming, and that will really make life a lot easier, even for me.
Yeah.
Because I still have to play with multiple tabs open and alt tab back and forth. So,
and by the way, quick shout out to your player characters who are so fortunate to be playing with their GM as the guy that patched this. How cool. What a great experience. Kerenshara, thank you. It's been an honor. We've enjoyed visiting with you over Discord, over text. It's been great hanging with you here. You've been very generous with your time with us, and it is definitely our pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you. And thank you for everything that you've done for the community. This remaster is, I think, something that's very, very special.
It's been a pleasure, both talking to you and doing this for the wider community. Both Vance and I are immensely gratified every time we see someone post how much they like it, how much it's helped their table. That validates everything that we've done, and it made us continue to tweak around the edges. So, there's like I said, those new infrastructure buildings, lack of a better word, coming.
Yeah,
they're going to be in the book.
Cannot wait to see that. Well, all right, man. Well, hey, have a good night. Thank you for spending time with us. And we'll just catch up soon and take care.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Later.